Hello, back again, more live streaming. We're going to build another adventure. So we've done this before. This is a repeat. It's basically a tutorial that I will keep running over and over again, not necessarily as often as I have been, but the intention is to do them as often as I possibly can. At this point, the Dungeon Master Prep is intended to be like a weekly thing, although you will get two this week, today and tomorrow. For those of you who've been part of this, well, I have some homework for you before I get started into everything. So for those of you who are like, what's this going to be like? Well, I do have some homework. If you've done this particular tutorial before, okay? All right, so I'm going to put up a poll right now. Give people time to jump in, and I will just do that. Okay, so if you have been part of this particular tutorial, this is how it works. I will present you with a series of slides. I will go over the adventure building process, and at the end of that adventure building process in the slideshow, I'm going to open it up to a Q&A or questions and answers, and then we will make a adventure. That's the intention, is like every time I run this, we make a new adventure. Okay, so if you've already been part of this and you already know all the stuff I'm about to talk about, then I want you to do some homework. Your homework is this. You need to come up with some adventure hooks that you think might work. You need to come up with some locations, some NPCs, some potential encounters. That's what I want you to do, okay? And for those of you who have never done any of this before, never been part of this particular tutorial, I'm going to run the slideshow now. I'm going to go through material and cover all the things that we need to cover. And we'll see how we go. All right. Hi, well, I'm getting sick. Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, primarily because I usually do, but this is actually a tutorial. It's intended to be run more than once, and this is a Dungeon Master Preparation Lesson 1 Adventure Building tutorial. And with all of these tutorials that I do, the intention is that they be an ongoing thing, that they aren't just a one-off event. So we have some overview things to cover. So what am I going to do during my presentation? We're going to talk about the types of adventures. We're going to cover the types of quests that you can give your adventures. I'm going to talk about the basic adventure building structure. And then we're going to give you some miscellaneous recommendations. That's usually the process. Now, the intention with this is not to give you a published adventure. Like, we're not trying to publish. What we're trying to do is make an adventure for you to run in your own home group. Okay? We're not trying to make a publication as such. So it's a structure rather than a complete document written out as if it was put out by Kobold Press or Wizards of the Coast. That's not the intention of today. Otherwise, you'd probably never get it done. Now, so the overview is I explain the building process for adventures. I'm going to demonstrate it, so we're going to actually have some participation as well. Now, the practice element will still be included, but I can't bring you into the live feed at this present time. I'll save that for a later date, and we'll do that when I can. Right now, we're just going to be using text feedback. So you just write into the chat and you'll give me feedback and I'll know what to do. That is the intention. That's my my goal. I'm going to say right now that D&D Beyond right now has a combat encounter builder. Now, combat encounter builders isn't going to solve your problem with regard to building an adventure, because combat is not just it's not an adventure. It's just a combat encounter. But in the future, they are planning to put out a virtual tabletop, and my hope is they will also put out an adventure building tool. I don't know if that's in fact the case, but I feel like it would be a natural progression from what they've been doing in the past. And there's so many of them out there already that you would think that they would have that sort of thing developing. So when that comes up, I will let you know about that. Okay, I'm going to start off with the types of adventures that you would include in your game. Well, in fact, it's more like style, and I think the best way I can describe it is type. Let's go with type for now. So the starting off point, I think, for everything is breaking things down. So you have your sandbox or hex crawl adventure, which is where the adventures start in a set location, but then they can venture out to any new place that they want to explore. And then, of course, you have the linear adventure. This is where the characters start at a beginning point and they follow a set path to the climax of your story, and it has a very strong plot line. So usually there isn't a lot of choice. You just go from A to B to C to D, and then it ends. Okay? And then you have the point crawl adventure. This is built for, like, you select meaningful locations or potentially meaningful, no, it's usually meaningful locations. They are connected by different pathways. So instead of being like a linear train or a linear track, you would have a starting point, and then you might branch off into 3 different choices or 3 different locations you can go to, and then from there on you might branch off again. Some of them might come back onto the original track, and some of them might go off into different directions. So it's a point crawl. So it's I think the best way to describe it is a multi-path flowchart in many respects. Now, as a general rule, you'll find that a combination of all 3, you can have a combination of sandbox, linear, and point crawl. A lot of Wizards of the Coast adventures are in fact a combination of linear and sandbox, where you start at point A, and then you go to point B, and you get off at point B, which is the train station, and then you explore around point B, and then you get back onto the train, and you go to point C, and you do the same thing again, get back off the train, explore around in that little location, get back onto the train, and then you go further down the track. Essentially, it's a combination of sandbox and linear. And you can have a combination of all 3 if you wanted to. There's also different types of adventure that aren't broken up so much in terms of their structure, in terms of the physical nature, but how they might be run. So that is your location-based adventure. You don't have a set plot or set events. This is just a place. It has a villain or a potential conflict to interact with. So the player characters go there, they interact with the location and the villain or the threat or the monsters, and then that's it. That's it. So it's often essentially a single plot line, or should I say a single goal or quest. And it may be very clear and it may not. It depends on what you're doing with it. Whereas with comparison to the location-based adventure, which is very easy to design for, much more difficult to design for is the event-based adventure. So an event-based adventure is based on having a plot line to follow, okay? And so you might have different branches, so you can have branching options from a starting point. It often looks more like a flow chart. And you can have really complicated flow charts, and you can have very simple flow charts. And that's an event-based. But everything is determined not so much on location, but an event that takes place. And that's your event-based adventure. And of course, you can have a combination of both to break it all up. Okay, types of quests. Even if we look at the types of adventures, there's also the types of quests that you can actually run in your your stories. Sorry, I just need to drink some water. Okay, types of quests. Here we go. We have the fetch quest. This is when the characters have to get something from another location that is potentially a long way away and bring it back. Like you go and fetch something like a dog. Yep, but you're not actually a dog. Now, a good example of a fetch quest is Avengers Endgame, where the main characters, they have to collect up all the affinity stones and then incorporate it into this gauntlet so they can power it and then reverse the snap. That is a fetch quest. The delivery quest, this is when the characters are in possession of an object, a person, a piece of information or something else, and they must deliver it to a specific location. That's the delivery quest. Now, what does a delivery quest look like? The best one I can think of is Lord of the Rings, and this is where Frodo takes the one ring and has to take it to Mordor and drop it into the volcano to destroy it. That is a delivery quest. Then you have the protection quests. This is when characters have to escort a person safely to a second location potentially, or simply protect them in a set location. A good example of a protection quest would be something like the Seven Samurai, where the Seven Samurai have to protect the villages, or something like the Magnificent Seven, where the cowboys have to fight off bandits and protect the town. Also, if you've watched something like Multiverse of Madness, which is Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, there's the young girl that needs to be protected, Star, I believe, and that's what Doctor Strange does, is try to protect her. That's a protection quest. Then you have the destroy quests, or the kill quest. This is when you have to utterly destroy something. And it usually requires the characters to hunt down, say, a monster, vanquish a main villain, or break an object or some sort of structure. A really good example of destroying quests is Star Wars, because it's always about destroying and killing. So, for example, the original Star Wars, it was all about destroying the Death Star, and then later on destroying the second Death Star, and then later on again destroying the Star Killer Base. And of course, getting rid of Darth Vader and the Darth Sidious. So those are kill and destroy quests. Investigation quests gets a character to find new information or investigate a mystery, solve a crime or a problem. The best example of an investigation quest is going to be something like Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes, with the help of Dr. Watson, has to solve various crimes and often has to thwart his main nemesis. You have also the negotiation quest, and this requires a character to deceive, persuade somebody or someone that is involved in, and it's going to usually require some sort of diplomacy or intrigue or perhaps some sort of trade. So the best example of a negotiation quest, which can be very difficult for players sometimes, is something like Star Trek, the original Star Trek, where there isn't a lot of killing going on. That would actually sort of mess everything up. You actually have to have a conversation. Also Avatar, although that went very badly, I believe, in terms of the movie story, the negotiation between the natives and the humans who are trying to take ore off the planet, the negotiations break down very quickly. The next one is the survival quest. This forces characters into a dangerous situation that they have to get out of, or they need to survive a natural disaster, or maybe they need to try to survive an army that's on the war path, or again maybe they need to survive living in a prison. So survival is the main key thing we're dealing with here. So I would say the best example of a survival quest is something like Alien, the very first Alien movie, or Aliens. The Terminator, that's a very good example of trying to survive, where you're stalked by a cyborg who's trying to destroy you. Those are all survival quests. And then the last one is the attainment quest. This is where characters seek out treasure, like an object or a person, but it can be other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be an object or a person. It could potentially be, in terms of attainment, it might be political power or political positions. It might be land, it might be castles or fortress, something like that. Now, the best example of an attainment quest that I can think of is something like Moana, where they have to go and seek out a special stone that will stop the world being poisoned or the seas being poisoned by this black goo. And it's said in the name, and that's Finding Nemo. This is where Finding Nemo, the little fish, gets separated by his father, and the father fish needs to go and find Nemo. So that's an attainment quest. Those are the different types of quests that you would normally have in your adventure. And it's up to you, of course, to decide which one is the most appropriate given your situation. The basics of adventure building. Now, what I've done is I've selected a method. This is just going to give you the structure. This method is used by Chris Perkins. He's mentioned it before. I've used it for many years myself. It is the easiest way to put together an adventure, the basic nuts and bolts of it, so that you are able to run something. And often you can run it directly from just an A4 page. Now, that's not going to work for everybody. Some people need more preparation than others, but this is the basic structure. So the basics is we're going to start off with the adventure title or designation to differentiate your session notes from something else. Now, it doesn't necessarily, when you do this, it's not necessarily going to have an adventure title. It might be say you might label it something as simple as session 1 or session 2 or whatever. But you're going to designate it in some way so that it's different from all the other notes you make in the future. You're going to have, most importantly, you're going to need to have an adventure hook or a adventure goal. It's essentially the same thing. It's the thing that the player's characters need to try to do. Now, if you're already running a game, you may have a adventure recap, and this is usually the adventure recap will have tied into it, or should have tied into it, to make life easy for yourself, the goal or the current hook, whatever they are currently trying to achieve. You want to try to put this down in between 3 and 4 sentences. And if you need to find help developing something like an adventure goal for your adventures, I'm going to recommend looking in the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5e on page 72 through to 81. Another really excellent book that I know a lot of people don't necessarily use, and I'm going to suggest it, and that is the Mythic Odysseys of Theros. This book is excellent. It does a great job. There are so many different adventure hooks and goals, and they cover a vast array of different ideas. So I highly recommend, if you have that book, using it. If you don't have that book, well, it's up to you whether you pick it up. But I think you will find there's even more information in that book than there is in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But it's Greek themed. It is also a setting that is for Magic the Gathering. It's a Magic the Gathering setting, Theros. If that's your thing, great, and if it's not, then don't get it. Then you need to have a list of the player characters. What you're trying to do is you keep it to a line. You don't want to make your life too difficult by writing too much down. The main thing you need to write down is the character name and their class and their race, so that you remember their character name at the top. That's the one thing you really need. It's always nice if you can include what their flaw is, but often their flaw might be a bit detailed and might take up too much space. You're trying to keep this all to one sentence and then a goal. So when you write it down, try to write it down in 1 or 2 words each part. Their name is like 2 words. Their class, there's one word. Their race is 1 word. Okay, and if you can write down their flaw or their goal in 1 word, essentially you now have 1 sentence for each character. That's the player characters. Your next thing that you need to deal with is adventure locations. Now that we have your adventure goal and hook, you should be able to figure out what locations you need for that adventure. And what I'm going to do is, I would say a total of about 5 locations are good. The types of locations you probably want to have is either a town, a city, or a tavern. This is often your starting point. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tavern. Not all adventures start in a tavern, but you probably want to have at least a town or a city in some respect. This is where your player characters can go to hang out when they're not doing adventuring or taking part in the main story that you've put together. But also it's like where they've come from. So these are often the things you want to draw from. I'm going to suggest that the name, basic description, that's all you need for your location. Give the location a name and a very basic description. So you're trying to keep this down to like 1 sentence for everything. Dungeon locations, you can find those in the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5e. You'll see that you'll find a whole bunch of stuff on page 99, 101, and then from pages 113 to 114, and then 292 through to 301. You'll find there's also a lot of pre-made maps and very realistic historic locations as inspiration. So I would use pre-made maps from existing adventures that have been published, or maps that you find online or wherever, and then of course real historic locations. They're all great for inspiration when you're coming up with your different places they're going to explore. Now you might also have a separate page for your map that is separate from the actual adventure you're putting together. Okay, but I'm not going to go into that today. That's something else. The next thing I want to consider is putting together is like a list of non-player character names. I would say a list of at least 5. You don't need to have too many more than that. You're going to aim for writing down their name, their appearance if you can, personality and motivation. That's probably about it. So you're looking at one sentence. And if, again, it's in note form, it's not in long form. You need to shorten things down. So what sort of non-player characters do you need to put together? You're looking for your villain. You almost always need to have a patron or a quest giver. They're usually kind of like the same thing, but maybe not. Then you have a victim. Some adventures have victims, some don't. A helper, somebody who will assist the player characters during the adventure if they do the right thing. They don't always exist, but it's often best that you do at least have a helper or something you can use as a helper. And then, of course, a mentor, which is kind of a lot like the helper as well, but it's something that will reoccur more than once, and you can carry on from one adventure to another. And anything extra is going to be like, if you have extras, then that's fine. You'll need them for shopkeepers and other uses in your adventure anyway. Okay, so just because I said villain, patron, quest giver, victim, helper, and mentor, doesn't mean you need to make one of all of those. It's only when it makes sense that you do so. Now, the backgrounds that you find in the player's handbook for 5e on pages 127 to 141, this is a great source to actually create non-player characters. So I'm going to suggest you use those tools because it has all that stuff: personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, and then of course you need to just fill out and find a motivation for them. Another really good place for actually creating your non-player characters is the Dungeon Master's Guide. For 5e, you'll find is a little bit of information on page 89 through to 91. And then if you need villain goals, that's in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and that's on page 94 through to 95. Otherwise, if you have ever used Rory's Story Cubes, that's another good way of generating and creating your non-player characters. Okay. Let's have a look at the last aspect. Well, not quite the last aspect, but we're almost there. Encounters. We need to have, now, when I say encounters, I do not mean combat. What I mean is that that's certainly part of it, but it won't be everything. We're looking for about 6, enough to get us through one session. And I generally try not to build too much complexity into my adventures. I try to keep them fairly short and contained. And this is easier to actually design for. Otherwise, you can get lost in a string of ideas. So what would be the encounters we need to put forward? We're not worrying about random encounters. Like random encounters, we can sort that out. So this isn't where we put our random encounters, okay? But if there are specific combat encounters we think we might need to run for the adventure, great, put that down. Social interactions, so a conversation or negotiation they need to have with an NPC or a monster, we'll put that in there. Any exploration stuff, like there may be a location that needs to be explored, we need a bit of information, we need to put down anything that might be hidden in that location. Exploration is all about exploring, right? And that means you have to have secrets for them to find and for things for them to deduct. Then traps. Traps might be a factor to the types of encounters you want to put in there. Puzzles is another one. And then, of course, skill challenges. And when I say skill challenge, it's in a very broad sense, okay? You'll find most of the information for all of these aspects are not in the Dungeon Master's Guide, unfortunately, but you'll find a little bit of information on traps in the Dungeon Master's Guide if you look at page 120 through to 123. That will give you most of what you need. Okay, last thing. With all adventures, we need to find out a good way of rewarding our player characters for engaging in the activity. And rewards can take many different... basically, they can look like a lot of different things. It's not just gold and magic items. So rewarding the completion of the adventure, obviously we can have a look at awarding experience points or awarding character advancement like milestones, something like magic items, even political power. If you have a very political game, allowing them some political power might be a really good way of rewarding them. Treasure in the terms of money or magic items or just interesting things. Often treasure might be something as cool as a castle or a spaceship or a sailing ship or something like that. And then, of course, developing non-player character relationships. The reward might be simply having a stronger and better relationship with a non-player character. So it's very broad what you can do with regard to all of that. Okay, my miscellaneous recommendations for building an adventure for your game. Don't spend all your time on developing one concept of your adventure. It's very easy to get stuck in one area and spend way too much time there and never get it done. And then you wind up spending too much time which you don't have. So try to just get things down as quickly as you can and then go back and you can tidy things up if you need to. Okay? So don't spend a lot of time in one area. Don't sweat the creative ideas in your adventure. Okay? You don't know what people will like at your table. You're not writing this for a publication. You're writing this for your gaming group. They're the only ones who actually need to care about it or like what you're doing. So stick with that. Yep. Just concentrate on what makes them tick and what they enjoy and in what you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, why would you do it again? It's as simple as that. So this covers all of the different aspects of building and creating an adventure for your games. And I suggest and I use the Lego brick system where I make lots of smaller adventures that then they might follow a main goal, an overall campaign goal, or they might be just a series of one-shots that you connect together, or it might just be one-shots full stop and that's it. That's all fine. None of that's wrong, okay? I'm hoping this was useful to you, and if it was, great. Please let me know in the comments if it was or wasn't, and I would like to know how you're doing in terms of your adventure creation. Also, too, look, try stuff. You just have to do it. Try to get it done. Try to get it completed. Get the nuts and bolts there, okay? And then just run it. And if it doesn't work out, it's all right because you can try again, okay? That's all I'm going to say about adventure creation. You can't be guaranteed your players will like something until you test it. That's the only way to figure it out. So thank you for watching, and hey, till next time, keep watching those 20s. Keep watching those 20s. Keep rolling those 20s. Right. I'm definitely getting the lurgy. I'm now on spring here, and spring is a problem for me, obviously. Okay, so let us get into this. We're going to make an adventure. Hopefully everybody has been thinking very, very hard about what sort of adventure we want to actually build today. I'm going to just go through the chat very quickly and just give myself a chance to actually get some water down me. Hi Greg, how's it going? Now, the best way to support these adventure creation Dungeon Master prep sessions is through Patreon, like $1 a month, and everything goes there. Now, the last adventure we made, I haven't put onto Patreon. I'm struggling to finish off the monster. We did the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and we made an adventure, the three-pronged trident, I believe, and I just haven't been able to finish it all up and tidy it all up and get it on there. But it will go there. Don't worry, it will happen, including the location we built as well, which yeah, I try to do too many Dungeon Master prep stuff in 1 week, or in 2 weeks, should I say. So I've got a bit of a backlog, but we'll get there. Dartmain, how's it going? What kind of quest would Lost Mine of Phandelver be? Ooh, that's a good question. I think if you're looking at the structure of the Lost Mine of Phandelver in terms of what it is, if you look at everything that's there, it's an investigation quest for sure. Okay, you're trying to investigate what's going on. Absolutely. I would say it's also got a element of a protection quest. So you're trying to protect Gundren Rockseeker, although you do have to fetch him first. So it's got different elements going on here. Yep. I think that's really what we're looking at. Is it's a combination of about 3 different types ultimately. Hopefully that answered your question. I hope everybody's been percolating and letting their brain work really, really hard, coming up with what we're going to do today. Like I said, the best way to support these is on Patreon. So it's like $1 a month is the smallest you can pay, and you get everything that goes up there. And there's quite a lot going up there right now. Otherwise, super chats and super stickers are much appreciated. What I'm going to say is whoever super chats or super stickers like $5, if you need an adventure built, we're going to give you a hand. I will help you, and whoever's here in the chat, we'll give you a hand and we'll help build out the structure for you today. Otherwise, I will simply select something from Mythic Odysseys of Theros, because I think it's probably got the best range of adventure hooks that I've seen in anything. And I'd much prefer to use that than anything else if I can help it. All right, so let's go through the chat real fast and get on to business. Lordy Sparker, how's it going? Fred, has the DM group asked Professor Dungeon Master to join for an episode? So Lordy Sparker, he did not respond. I have asked him more than once. He did not respond. Okay, so if you were hoping that he would jump in, it's just not going to happen. Okay, maybe he could be too busy. He may simply view my interaction with him as a waste of his time, or he's too busy. Look, a lot of people, Jacob doesn't ever check his email from XP to level 3. Not everybody wants to be part of these sorts of things too. So he has been asked. Everybody has been asked. Every big YouTuber has been asked, apart from one. And I have good reasons not to ask that person. Spirit Wolf, hello, how's it going? Hi, Overboard, how's it going, Joe? I'm watching my 20s. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, yeah, that's right, man. I'm obviously struggling to keep up with things. Hello, Fendar. Fendar is a patron. Hello, how are you doing? Yes, yeah, you're in the 50s this month. Okay, so let's get started, because this is what we are here for in the first place, is to actually build an adventure. So I'll put that there. We need some water. I'm going to throw in a lozenge. Nobody wants us to build them an adventure today, so there's no super chat or super stickers. So I'm opening my book. We're going to transition over to my sharing screen, which just makes sure that it's going to work. Yes, it is. And we will get started. Where is it? Yes, there it is. And we will flick back over to here, and then over to here. So we're not going to worry about the adventure title just yet. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to just deal with coming up with an adventure hook to start with, and then we can go back and deal with something like the nitty-gritty of what the adventure might be called. Okay, so that's our first starting point. I'm opening up Mythic Odysseys of Theros, this thing here. I am going to probably need to move, is that going to be in the way? It will be. Let's move that over. There. Hopefully that is better. You'll let me know if it isn't. Okay. So I'm going to open up this book. I'm going to have a look in here, and I'm going to find something sort of will fit with what we need to do. I was hoping, now we did something that was very water-based last time. The adventure that we put together was really about an underwater cavern location, correct? So let's pick something that isn't like that. Let's go for something maybe even the reverse of that might be fun. And I am flicking through here. No. Denzians, islands, underwater adventures, nautical adventures. No, we won't do it. Do we want to do a nautical adventure? We could do a nautical adventure. Is that a yes or a no, people? Say yes if you want a nautical adventure. We could do that. Or should I look at something else? I mean, I'm happy to do something else other than that. But how often do we have nautical adventures in our run? Do you know what I mean? It's like supposedly Salt Marsh was supposed to be the nautical adventure, but it never wound up being the nautical adventure. Otherwise, we can go with something else. Like we could pick a volcano temple location. We could do that. That wouldn't be too difficult because I've got all the tools here. I don't see anybody. Everybody's gotten very quiet today. Nautical sounds fun. Shiner. Hello, Shiner81. Okay, let's do nautical, shall we? That means it actually makes it fairly easy for us to do a lot of our stuff. Yep. Yes. Sounds fun. Okay, we've got that. That's what we're going to do then. Let's do nautical. So I'm going to read out some adventure goals here. And then once I've done that, we're going to decide which one we want. There is stuff for underwater. There's stuff for over the water. So I'll read out the ideas, and you'll tell me which one you like the most. Slay a monster or pirate terrorizing ships at sea. Pretty common. Yeah, okay, we've heard that one before. Follow an omen that leads out to sea. Okay, well, that's very generic. We could do a lot with that, or nothing. Seek an artifact hidden underwater or on an island. We kind of did that last time. I'm going to ignore that. We're not going to seek an artifact. We've done the artifact searching thing. Find your way home after getting lost. Possibly. Find a lost temple of a god. We could do that. We kind of did that before. Locate settlers trying to colonize an inhabited island. Or is it an inhabited island? Yeah. So you're trying to find colonize a colony, settlers. Okay. Discover a safe route through deadly waters. Okay, that's all right. Find a whirlpool that is a passage to the underworld. Okay, and the last one we've got here is sail from the edge of the world into Nex, which is basically like the sky and the starry realm. So think you're sailing off the world into another world. A submarine prison. So are we looking for a submarine prison? That means it's actually moving. It's moving from one place to another. That actually makes it quite difficult to find. We can put that down. Do people... so Greg's suggested a submarine prison. You want to look for the whirlpool? We've got a submarine prison. We've got a whirlpool. So there's a couple of different ideas here. But so we need somebody to sort of break the stalemate. I'm going to have a... I'm going to type in a couple of these, okay, and let you guys sort of decide whether who's going to, which one are we going to focus on. So find the characters. You have to find a whoops. Well, let's get rid of that, and we'll put a space through there as well. And we'll get rid of this. We don't want that underlined. Go here. This is very, very strange. Did I not move it over? I wonder if I did. Did I actually transition? No, I didn't. There we go. Sorry about that. That should have fixed it. I should have got it out of the way now. Okay. The characters have to find a mobile submarine prison. Okay. Submarine prison. Okay. Birob. Submarine prison. It sounds like that's what we're... So we might use the whirlpool as an encounter. Okay, Joe? Unless, of course, I get somebody else who sort of... Okay, Shiner said submarine prison. Submarine prison it is. The characters have to find a submarine prison, a mobile submarine prison that what? That, it's probably to break somebody out of it, right? That's essentially what we're looking at. Okay, the characters have to find a mobile submarine prison, and rescue somebody Rescue who? Who do we look for? It doesn't really need to be a yellow submarine. I think just a standard yellow submarine would be boring. Let's make look, this mobile submarine prison, let's make it a giant siege crab. Okay? That's what the mobile prison is. The submarine prison, it's a mobile siege crab. That would be far more fun. So I'm going to put this here. We need to know who we're actually rescuing from the prison, right? Famous high-value wizard. Okay, rescue a famous wizard. So we're going to rescue our famous wizard. That sentence is nice and short. So we've already got the basics for what we want here. Because Joe has already offered us the whirlpool as a potential location. Whirlpool skill challenge, maybe. Or hazard. Alright, I'll add that in there. And we'll number it. Where are we? There. Okay, so let's now that we've got that was super easy, wasn't it? Let's do we already have a fairly good idea of what sort of locations we need to put in here, because it's already highlighted some locations. But while I am typing in some of the additional information, like the locations we know about right now, I want you to come up with some player characters. Now, I could use the player characters in my campaign, but since I don't want to do that, I want you to participate. I want you to come up, tell me the name, race, and class of some of the player characters in maybe your group. Because this is just an example. They don't have to be used for anything. They're just going to be there. Okay, so we might as well use actual names of characters, whether it's you're a dungeon master or you're a player and you're playing in your group. Just give me their name, their race, and their class, and we'll add that in so we can fill that out. When we get to 5, I'll stop. Okay, and then we'll move on. Okay, so while I'm doing that, you're going to give me some names of characters, and I am going to fill in the locations that we need to have. So submarine, prison, well, let's see, is a giant siege crab. You let me know if you think the giant siege crab is a terrible idea. Crab that crawls along the ocean floor. How's that for fun? Okay, so we've got some names coming through. Thank you. All right, let's just put this in here. We've got one location already established. Just need to ditch this. Don't need it bold. I do want to number it. Okay, siege, crawls. Okay, let's get some names in here. We could we could include an iceberg if you want icy waters. Absolutely. So overboard, if you want me to include that, I'd be happy to add in an iceberg of some kind, or icy waters. Or we could have just what would it be called? What's it when you have a lot of ice and icebergs floating in water? It's called something, but I can't remember. Anyway, let me write down these names. Hello, Greg. What have we got here? Tull. So this is actually a name for somebody in your group, okay? Tull, Turtle. Tull, a turtle monk. Good. Whoops. Let's do that. Drop that. Oops. Let's just get rid of this. We don't need it all maxed out on that. Let's get it there. Let's go number it. Okay, next one. Lennon, halfling. So One of the things that, even though we're not necessarily using these characters in our game, half the reason I'm doing this is it allows you more NPCs. Halfling. How did I get Hawking? Halfling. Halfling rogue. And more NPCs is often really helpful. So so that's Greg's big clue. You've got girl turtle druid. Okay. Girly turtle. Come on, Fred. I'm having trouble. Turtle druid. Okay, that's that one. Who else have we got here? Shaw the Fendar's just added in. Shorty the Gensai Ranger. Okay. Oh, oh, wrong. No, okay, I get it. I see. I got it. Shaw. The Gensai Ranger. Is this a water Gensai? I'm assuming it is. Let's put water Gensai, right? It must be that, Fender. You tell me if I'm wrong. Hi, Wayne. What do you got here? Dali Falco Tea Leaf. Well, okay. But is so Wayne, Falco Tea Leaf is Falco? What race are they, and what class are they? I'm going to put the name down, okay? But it would be good to have a race and a class to go with them, just to give us something to work with. So I'm writing the name down. Falco Tea Leaf. Oh, by the way, this will wind up on Patreon. I will make sure it goes there. So yes. Okay, we got that right. Yeah. He's a thief. Okay, so I need to know what race they are. You got to run. I'll see you later, Greg. Not a problem. We'll be. It'll still be here. It's not going to get hidden. Halfling. Okay. All right, halfling. Okay, so we've got 5 characters. We're going to need to start building out our locations. We've already got done a pretty good job. We've got the Submarine Prison, which is going to be a giant siege crab that crawls along the ocean floor. It's pretty obvious we need to have some way of getting to it by going underwater. So does that mean we need to have our own submarine for the player characters? That's a location in itself. I know you might think it's a vehicle, and yes it is, but it's still something that we might want to include, okay? Thief. So what I want you to do is I want you to give the name of the submarine we need to give to the player characters to get to this underwater or submerged prison. We need to have a name for that submarine, and we need to have, what type of submarine is it? Like, is it just like a Captain Nemo submarine and it's made out of metal, or is it a pod attached to a whale that dives under the water, or is it a fish that they have strapped, or does the submarine look like a fish, or does your submarine look like an eel? I mean, like, what is the, you know what, you get what I mean? It's like, what is this going to be? We need something for that. So we need a bit more information on that. Overboard. Okay. All right. So we are finished with listing the player characters. We're now on to locations. So the characters have to find a mobile submarine prison and rescue a famous wizard. So remember, we need to probably have either a city that we're going to start with, or a town, or a village, or a tavern, our starting point. Or even a port might be useful. Like, that would be like a good idea. Okay. And so we need a, yeah, so you'll let me know what we come up with. Overboard, I'll put in that. That's fine. I'll put those in. But I want you to start we're thinking location now. Locations. We need to break down our locations. So this is just thinking about how I'm going to do this. I'll write in the last of these, and you guys are coming up with locations that we want to use as part of our exploration. Yeah? Bard. It's that one. Last character. Trident. Sorcerer. Okay, so I think it's a Triton. Triton. Is it Triton? What's the name of the... Is that the name of the race? I thought it was called something else. A permanent Lehman's magnificent mansion that has been magically expanded inside the giant crab. Yeah, well, it's a prison. So it is going to have like a... we can include a Lehman's magnificent mansion inside there. So what's the easiest way to do this? Submarine Prison is a giant siege crab that crawls along the ocean floor and has a... Oh, thank you, Fender. I appreciate that. I was like, no, this doesn't look right. What have I done here? Triton. Yeah. Triton. That got it. That solved that problem. Okay, finished with characters. Moving on to locations. And somebody just presented a very good idea. A hydrosphere. A giant octopus. So is this the location we're dealing with here? A giant octopus feels like an encounter. Is that the submarine that we're using? Do we have a submarine that looks like a giant octopus? Like a bathysphere? I'm a little lost on that big clue. I'll get your idea down. I'll write it down so it's there. Lehman's magnificent mansion. That has a permanent, yeah. Because we want it permanent, don't we? This is probably where the prison warden would live, I suspect. Okay, right now, let's have a look here. Take a bathysphere. I'm just going to type in bathysphere under locations because I don't know what that's actually what we're trying to do with that. Bathysphere, question mark. Bathysphere. I don't know what to do with that. And then okay. I feel the turtles can carry each of the halflings in a barrel. I'm sure you do. Giant octopus. I'm assuming, is the giant octopus supposed to be under encounters or something else? I feel like, is the giant octopus the submarine or not? I'll put down giant octopus. Something else maybe. Hydrosphere. Wayne, you put down hydrosphere. A hydrosphere. What is a hydrosphere? Is that the name of the submarine or is that something else? Little lost. Little lost, people. You need to give me a point of reference just so I know what I'm doing with this. So location and then what it is. It would be great. Okay, let's say location and what it is. So Big Clue's gone one location and he's given me very specific stuff, so I can put that in and I don't get confused. I don't even know what the hydrosphere is. So here we go. A graveyard. Let's go, yeah. Graveyard of, whoops, wrecked ships. Yep, let's do that. Occupied. Yep. Occupied by Sahagan tribe. Okay. What would it be called? What would this graveyard of shipwrecks be called? Like, does it have a name? Do we want to give it a name? Sahagan tribe. I'm going to go here. Name. Or does it not have a name? I don't know. Yeah. Name, question mark. No. Name. Because giving things names actually really does help a lot. Okay, a ring of underwater volcanoes. Big clue. Let's do that. Let's put that in. That's a lot of fun. Underwater. The question would be, does it have a name, this location? If it doesn't, then that's fine. Volcanoes. Full stop. Oh no, I'm going to put question mark here, and I'll put name question mark here. So do we have a name for it? Do we not have a name for it? Let's establish that. Now, where an underwater species come to trade, like a bazaar or market. Big clue. So what were you talking about? Oh, is this for the ring of underwater volcanoes? It's a marketplace. I think that's what you were trying to go with. A giant submarine octopus. Okay, so we wanted the submarine to be an octopus. Okay, got it. Okay. I'll also put down whale. What was the other thing? Or a fish. I think the octopus sounds far more interesting. And more trouble too. Take a bathysphere would be the name of the adventure. Dino, really? Okay, so big clue. Let me make sure I don't screw up this section. This is a ring of underwater volcanoes that is a market. Or bazaar. Okay. Okay, I think I got that. The hydrosphere. Oh, I see a hydrosphere. A magic bubble. I see what you're going with here. So let's go hydrosphere. Cut it. Put that there. Paste. Hydrosphere is a magic bubble, basically. Okay, I got it. Sailor's Folly is the graveyard. Alright, so graveyard's name. Sailor's Folly. Whoops, did I get it right? Yes, I did. Alright, so Sailor's Folly is pretty well established there. That's good. We've established that quite nicely. Hydrosphere. It's a magic giant air bubble. Magic giant air bubble. Air bubble. Okay, I've got it. All right, so moving down here. Yeah, we're doing adventure locations. I want to fill out locations. I think that we are. What are we up to? we still need a point for the starting of the adventure. Like we need like a town or a tavern for them to start at, or a port, or a city, or something like that. Something that we can sort of start it all off at. Wayne, they could call the volcanoes the Mythic Chaldea. Okay, I'm putting it down. Let's have a look. A luminescent coral reef where a gang of Kyotoas are trying to honour their god by pretending to be pirates. Fender, we got to add that in. Luminescent coral reef. We're a gang of what do we got here? We're a gang of Kyotoa. Kotoa. I think that's right. Is that Kotoa like that? Are trying to honor their god. I'm pretending there to be pirates. Whoops. Peculiar. We need a name for this place, this reef. So let's get a name for this place, okay? Okay, so location, I've got that one down. Stony Cove, Island of Ice and Fire, the Unseen Mountain, Overboard. Stony Cove, where was that? Is that supposed to be that? No, was that supposed to be what you were talking about? This is the ring of underwater volcanoes. Whose idea was that? I think that was yours, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Bizarre. No, not that. No. Okay. Dinomancer has given me a whole bunch of different names for our starting location. Let us get that down. Bathysphere. I'm going to just ditch Bathysphere. Sorry. But here. It's the golden fish. The goldfish what? Goldfish Bay. Goldfish Bay. Blue Oyster Harbour. Yes. Yeah, let's see. Harbour. What else have we got here? Dunedin. No. I'm not putting Dunedin. I'm not putting Dunedin. Lover's Folly. We've already got a folly already. Let's go Tide's End, though. Dino. I know where you're going with this. This is a... this would be a coastal town, wouldn't it? I think this is what we're dealing with, is a coastal town. Those are different names that we could use. Good. You could call the volcanoes so I think that's what we were trying to do. I can't remember what we were doing with here. Stony Cove, Island of Ice and Fire, the Unseen Mountain. Okay, so look, we've got plenty of locations, and I think all of the locations that we would absolutely need to have are here. Why is this causing me trouble? Well, I'm I'm not using American English. Am I going to be doing that? No. Harbour. There. Okay. I know for those of you who are American, that's frustrating, but for me, it just confused me too much. I have to live in New Zealand. Okay, so let's go with adding this here and then giving that name. And you'll let me know if I've balls things up, people. So we're now looking at non-player character names to fill this out. Remember, we need a villain. We need the name of the wizard that we're rescuing. We need a quest giver or a patron of some kind, and then the rest can just be fillers. Like let's start having that stuff come forth. So we'll put that there. Mythic Caldera. I believe that's what we're dealing with there. You let me know if that was not the intention. Okay. Start at the wizard's tower that needs to be rescued. Wizard's tower. I'll put wizard's tower as a location. You need to give the wizard's tower a name. Okay. Otherwise, not much good to us. We need a wizard's tower name. Okay. For that to work. So when you do this, don't just stick the name and say wizard tower and give me the name of it, so I know what it is related to. Birob. Blue. Big clue. What do you got here? Call it the Tide's End for the starting fishing crab village. Yeah. Coastal fishing village. If you like, that's fine. And I'll get rid of town. That's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to put all. I'm just going to leave them all up. You can get rid of the ones you don't like. Tower of an. Okay, thank you. That's the name we'll use. We'll put that there. Ekis. Phew, God, blimey. I can't spell it. I can't pronounce it. Okay. Shiner Felco Halfclaw, the Gaylor. So remember, non-player characters. The things that we need to do with a non-player character when we give things names is we the fringe reef. Okay, that was the luminescent fringe reef. Thank you. Fringing reef. Okay. Stony Cove is the ring of volcanoes. Okay, big clue. Thank you. All right, so now I know where that is. I'm going to take that. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to just stick the name there, and what we do with it, or what you do with it, is up to you. And I will just put this here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, the jailer might be your villain. So yeah. So give me an idea of who the main jailer is, like, and like who the wizard is. So the name of the say wizard and who it is, so we know how it relates to the story. For those of you who are sort of stuck with that idea, so let me just get this down. Stony Cove. Okay, so we have, remember, the characters have to find a mobile submarine prison, which is actually a giant siege crab, and rescue a famous wizard. That is our actual goal and hook. So we get rid of this. It's not a recap. Okay, it's very, very simple. It's bizarre as hell, and it will only be fun to do. I can see that now. But what we're dealing with here now is actually coming up with a non-player character. And I'm going to start writing things in, but not just yet. So let's go hashtag NPC, NPC, and then go please, and then comma, name, purpose, and let's go with personality. . 'Cause, 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 'c So try to keep it short and sweet. Personality trait. Just one trait. Don't get carried away, people. Right, I'm putting that in. Okay. Now I need to take a break. So while you guys are pumping out names for this, I'm going to go and actually take a quick break. I need 5 minutes to get myself cleared. Okay, so I will be back. Keep working. There we go. Arnold will keep you you occupied for a little while, and I won't be long. Okay. Back to work, isn't it? Right, where are we? Let's see how much you guys have got done. And back over here. Oh gosh, you guys have been really, really busy. So how many we got here already? You've got the wizard name already. Dino's done that by the looks of it. And it looks to me like we've also got the Kroll Brain Half Orc Warrior Jailer. Is that what we're dealing with? Call it is pronounced jail as in the jailer. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. I'm a little bit lost, but I'll catch up. Okay, I'm just having a quick look at what you've got here. Okay, so the wizard, we've got a few different names here for the wizard. The Soggy Spindle, the Alchemist Chimney. Okay, I'll add all those names in. Oh, I see. Big clue. I'm trying to figure out whose name. I am a little lost, but I will catch up. I will catch up. So it looks to me like you guys have actually listed down more than a sufficient number of NPCs. And do we have a jailer as well? Somebody who's going to be who's our main villain? Have we got a really cool main villain? Like, we're going to need that. Okay, so this is going to be hard for me to piece together, people, but I will. So we need, look, I want you to focus on a non-player character who's going to act as our main villain in the prison. Okay? Remember, submerged submarine, it's a prison, it's a giant siege crab that crawls along the ground that also has a permanent Lemon's magnificent mansion inside as well. So we need a main villain to make it all work for us. So villain time, people, villain time. I will add in these ideas. How's it going, Spirit Wolf? I'm a little. You've lost me a little bit. Carpenter exact. I don't know what that means. Okay. Too much shorthand, people. Too much shorthand. You're gonna have to help me a little bit so I don't get too lost. Here we go. Let me start putting some names in. And that's not gonna work. Let's get rid of this. It's a half orc. Half bugger. There we go. Half orc. Warrior. Okay. Kind of like feels a little bit out of place. This NPC, but we'll see how we go. I don't know how you guys are going to use it. Okay, here we go. Rag. Regisel. The old. Okay. Old village crony. Okay. Old village crony that predicts weather. Weather and tides. Tides are predictable, so we're just going to go with the weather. Let's keep going with that one. Town names. Okay. Oh, the tower name. I'll add in the tower names. So where we go. So we've got this name here. The Soggy Spindle. And we've also got the Alchemist Chimney. Arcanists. Chimney. Okay, so there's a couple of different names we're dealing with there. High Leaf Order of the Ahsoka. Oh, Wizard. Here we go. Right, thank you. That's the name for the wizard that we needed, which is rather important. Trivar, Highleaf. yeah. Order of the oh blimey. Okay. What do we need to put with this to make sure that we don't actually get lost? Because we could easily get lost with all of this. Needs rescuing from prison. Submarine Prison. Okay. Did we want to give the giant siege crab submarine prison a name, or are we not interested? If you do want to do that, we can. It may not have a name, but just to consider, we try to name everything, and then the characters submarine. There's hydrosphere, but if you want a different name for, say, a giant octopus or a whale or a fish or whatever, submarine, then we need to be looking at like a name for that as well. Try to be specific, otherwise I will get lost. Mechanical. Okay, so let's go. What was I trying to do here? I know what I was trying to do. Mechanical. Mechanical. Okay, let me see. Okay, Elder don't right. Okay, yep, we'll add that one in. Not a problem. Dryfoot. Corblomy. Head of Village Council. Yep. Yep, we can put that in. That's fine. We don't really, big clue, we don't really know what race they are. So we need something to help distinguish them, like, you know, just a little bit. How much stuff have you got here? You guys have gone completely, you've got a lot here. And okay, so I've got enough NPCs, and I'm sure you've got in here a name for a main villain. Yes, I can see there are a bunch of them already, which is awesome. Okay, so switching from main villain, we now need a list of encounters. Okay. Hashtag encounters. Please don't make them all combat. Encounter ideas. We actually already have a few here from some of your locations. I'm putting in there. That's what we want. Yeah, I am trying to catch up, but it's all right. You guys are going to start spitting out some encounters, and I'll write them in, and I'll catch up on the NPCs. Okay, so we've got this one. Yes, we'll put this one on here. Jarkos. Yep. Well, that makes a lot of sense. It's going to be underwater a lot, so yeah. Merchant. Okay, good. That's actually, so you've given me the name, you've given me the race, you've given me what their purpose is, and you've given me a personality trait. And that's just spot on, Big Clue. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you. Gregarious, Cole, female, half orc, prison guard. Oh, okay. Thank you, Wayne. All right, so we can go back to that one. Half female. Warrior. Prison guard. Good. All right, so we've got that one. Yes, I got that correct. The wizard. We had a name for the wizard here. What are they? Okay, so we need to put down here wizard. I feel like there's a lot of different ideas floating around for the wizard. Dinomance has provided us with bucket loads of names. So now I've got to try to write them all down. Well, so don't worry too much about the fact that some of these names you might not like. Because you're going to, if you're a patron, you're just going to go in there and delete the stuff you don't want. Because it's going to be an open format, so you can get in there and edit it to your heart's desire. Herbert West. Matthias. Oh gosh. We're doing pretty well for time in terms of getting things done, and I feel like it's gonna all be sort of wrapped up fairly quickly. How did that happen? It's because there's so many brains. Mansur, and then, oh, okay. I saw that name and I had a little giggle on my part. Sogto, here we go. Sog toe. I actually feel like there needs to be like a, what is it? It's going to be this. We're going to put this in here. Sog toe. Okay, so the wizard is nailed down pretty well. NPC. Claudia Fisher always lies about her latest capture being the biggest fish. Okay, Fender. We're putting it in. She's in there now. Whoops. Claudia Fisher lies about catching big fish. It keeps it pretty simple. Well done. Nice. Okay. This one here is so Spirit Wolf, Gel Carpenter, exact. I don't know exactly what they are to Carpenter. Okay. I'm not sure where we were going with that, but that's all right. Spammer, Seaweed, Gatherer, Stunner. I'm lost. You lost me. Okay, that I can work with. Their villain name. Okay, now we've got a villain. You guys have thrown so many villains, I'm actually going to make a villain section. So I'm going to copy this. Paste it. List of villain in non-player characters. Whoops, let's do that again. I think it's obvious that you guys were enjoying making up villains, so that's fine. No problems. We will add in as many as we can. How are you guys doing with the locations? And the encounters. You have got a bunch of different encounters in here. You're doing very well. Cool, blimey. All right, so let's catch up to where I was. We're on villains, weren't we? Not tech. Not tech. The Lord of the Wool. The Wool. Okay. The Lord of the Wool. Of the Wool. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, but I'm getting it. I'm putting it in. Let's do this. Also means you could have potentially more than one villain, which is kind of fun. Mistress of Hag. Okay, alright, I get it. Okay. Mistress. Oa. Mutant. Sea Hag. I think that's what we're after. It's a Sea Hag. Multiple personality. Changeling. Okay. Changeling. Yep. Multiple personality. That'll confuse people. How do you play a multiple personality NPC? I don't know. Villain. Okay, we got a villain here. Lampress. Oh, blimey. Vile Shaft. Hexblade. Oathbreaker. Oh, good lord. A Hexblade Oathbreaker. Really? Oathbreaker. Oathbreaker. Is this packed weapon? Okay. Has he got a personality, Dino? Has he got a personality? Cold Claw. I don't know what's Cold Claw referring to. I'm lost. Yeah. Okay, I'll come back to that. Anyway, so he's using weapon. Signature. Weapon. Razor Seaweed. Razor Kelp, isn't it? come on, razor, kelp. How do we get kelp as a weapon? I don't know. Okay, so now let me have a look. We have a lot of encounters. How's it going, Tabletop Bob? As you can see, my community is hard at work building an adventure, and I'm trying to write down all the ideas. Hi, JP. JP is actually is one of the players that I play. He's one of my mates that we play together with. Dino. D6 smart. I'm not sure. I'm a little lost as to what to do with a lot of this. So here's what we're going to do. You've been giving me a lot of encounters. I suspect that we can pull a lot of stuff from the existing locations into the encounters as well, which I will do for sure. Okay, and I will use as much of this stuff as you've got here as I possibly can. I want you to start thinking of, and I think probably what we're going to do is, we're going to focus now on a kelp golem. A kelp golem? Okay, I'm just going to put fight a kelp golem. I've never heard of fighting a kelp golem in a reef. Okay, I see that. Okay, let me just type in here. We need a name for this adventure, okay? we need a name for this adventure. I feel like that's going to be important. Okay. And we need a name for the submarine that the characters are going to use. Whether it's going to be an octopus, a fish, or whatever the heck it is going to be, or a whale, what we really need is the name of that submarine. So you need to type in submarine and then the name of the submarine. Okay? Right, so hashtagging it. Name the adventure. Name that adventure, baby. Let's start doing that. Lauren, I agree. I don't have a problem with it. So, yeah, we're keeping it. Don't you worry. You got Dino here. Well, yes, we can include an aboleth. I just don't want to just write aboleth. You've got to do something with it. So I don't want to add aboleth as part of an encounter when we don't have that much going with it. Like, you know, it needs to be a bit more. I need a bit more of that. Okay. Cold Claw. A Cold Claw is the villain name. I see. I think I get it now. Cold Crawl. Cold Crawl? Cold Crawl. Cold Crawl. Oh my gosh. Cold Crawl is the name of the submarine prison. Isn't it? Cold Crawl. The submarine prison. It's a giant siege crab. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I got it finally. Took me a while to figure that one out, Spirit Wolf, but I got it. Okay, but no, that's brilliant. He did very well. Nicely done. So we are going to get rid of this. We have 3 names for major villains. I will leave a 4th if we have to, but at present we seem to be doing all right. While diving in the hemisphere, they encounter a very large deep sea creature in mating season. I like it. Let's be a bit more specific. Dinomancer, let's go with two. Let's go colossal. Because there's no colossal apparently. 2 colossal deep sea monsters. are mating in a trench. Dear. Underwater trench. How's that? I think that's where we were going with this. Cursed Real Red Pearl set of bracelets. I'm a little lost as to what that's supposed to refer to. Cursed Red Pearl set of bracelets. I'm confused. I don't know what to do with that, sorry. The hydrosphere springs leak. Okay, putting it in hydrosphere. Springs leak. Got it. Seismic activity detected. The water is heating up from the... Okay. So we're actually having a underwater earthquake and volcanic eruption. I think that was what you intended, right? Let's throw a huge spanner in the works for sure. JP, how are we doing with the names of this? Well, we got a lot of different names. You guys are doing very well. So what I will do, where are we looking weakest? Let me just have a look at this. Okay, name characters submarine. I think that's what we need to do because I don't have that. That's what we need to deal with, is actually naming the characters submarine. I can get through and put all the encounters in, that's not a problem. You guys have provided an enormous number of different potential names for the adventure. So let me just go to the bottom here. And let me go hashtag, since that will help us focus. Hashtag name characters submarine. I've already got one. The hydro bubble is for the bubble, the air bubble one. There we go. Right, that's your task, people. Is name that submarine. While I take all of your other stuff and put it in the right place. Okay. Jello submarine. Really? Really? Fine. Jello submarine. I don't know. I don't know about Jello submarine myself, but I'll still stick it there. Just because submarine cold claws. Okay. Cold claws. What's that? Sub despair. Squid from Red Dwarf. Despair squid from Sub Dwarf. Wayne, I'm a little lost. Okay, sub despair. Oh, it's the submarine. Despair. It's a squid. Squid. I get it. Okay, right. Hang on. Let me go here. You had octopus. Okay. Octopus squid. That's what you were trying to say, right? And the name you have selected for the submarine at this present time, I think, is Despair. Despair. Okay, right. So I think I got that right. If I got it wrong, you let me know. The Hempelith Orchestra's casting lights and drawing your attention to its containment. Cast lights or draw your attention to its containment. Lauren, okay, or use the copy somehow. I don't know what to do, what you're trying to say about the aboleth. So I'm going to write this and you'll tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Aboleth conducting a musical orchestra. I don't know. Orchestra to mind control all living beings. I know that's weird, but I don't know what else to do with that. Okay, I see what you're trying to go with that. Claws Deep. The Adventure of Claws Deep. I think that's the name. You're putting in a name in here, so I'll put up. I'll go up. Claws Deep. That's a name for the adventure. Krakens are terrible during the season. Really? Oh dear. Your ideas. Okay. At wit's end. So this is supposed to be the submarine. We've got a lot of submarine names here. Going down. I'm not calling it going down. Bright and sunny. God. I see where you're going with this, Lauren. This stat is so complicated. I don't know what to do. Octopussy. I suppose it makes sense depending on the type of submarine that they're using. Correct? Like if it's the right type of submarine, then it will make sense. So I will put the name in. I may have to break this up a little bit. Deep Dark Octopussy. Gosh. Oh, hang on. Octopussy is the name of the adventure. No, it's the name of the submarine. Octo. Where are we? Fred? Focus. Octopussy? Or is it Ocpussy? Octopussy. So Octopussy? I think that's what you're trying to say here. Deep Dark. It's another name for this submarine. Unnamed. Let the players Christine at her. Yes, you can, Dino. Absolutely. Barracuda. Yeah, Barracuda makes sense if it's a giant fish, right? Barracuda. Deep Wet. And At Wit's End. I'm not even putting at Wit's End. Brine Pump. Oh my gosh. Brine Pump. Briny Pump. Okay. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we have that's all named. We have quite a few names for the adventure. I have to say that I'm not a huge fan of some of the names that have been put forward for the adventure. I feel like we could have done better. The Claws Deep, Krakens are in season. So I'm going to add in some more encounters from what you've already created here, people, because there needs to be. And because you guys have actually got some stuff already built, surprisingly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to type in here hashtag, come on Fred, get this right, hashtag name adventure. More please. let's get the name of the adventure sorted while Fred catches up on encounters. JP, did I miss something that you put in? I can't remember if I did or not. JP. Sounds of singing reaches your ears from across the water. You travel to find remains of ships and mermaids. Okay, mermaids and sirens. Well, yeah, it's pretty common, isn't it? Let's put this here under encounters. Mermaids and sirens singing around. Where is it? Underwater shipwrecks. I think that's what you were trying to say there. Okay. Alright, so you guys are doing the name again. A half-sunken ship containing a hag. She promises them anything they want in exchange for safe passage, obviously. Monkey claws. Remember, we need to have an encounter with dealing with the actual thing, which is to actually focus on the siege crab prison, people. Focus on the siege crab prison. Try not to focus on everything else. Like within the actual crab is a prison where we need to actually rescue the wizard. So what is in there? The Sunken Treasure is an adventure name. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to actually pull out some of the ideas you had as part of the locations, because I noticed that some of you had put in a lot of information, and actually it actually will help. So this is all good. The first one, Despair, Octopussy, the naming of the submarine for the characters. We've got a lot of ideas there. We don't need to go question mark because we know what we're doing here. The coastal fishing village. We've got a couple of different names, which is fine. We've got the fringe reef, luminescent coral reef. Okay, here we go. Populated by Kotoa. Kotoa. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut it out, because this is actually quite clever and I like it, and we're going to take that and put that down here and put paste, and that's that reef. Where are we? Fringe reef. So we'll copy. Okay, luminescent coral reef populated by Kotoa. Okay, that's there, and then we were going to put this in here. Paste. Fringe reef, where a gang of Kotoa are trying to honor the god by pretending to be pirates. That is an interesting concept. Kotoa, if I got Kotoa spelt incorrectly, I probably have. Kotoa. Let's go back and make sure I get that right. Kotoa. Okay. Fish tails, human arms. Yeah, the sunken city. So remember, we are focusing on the naming the adventure itself. Adventure naming, finding crab O. Oh, good luck. Child depth. Mystery of the child depth. Okay. Sunken city. It's a great name under the encounters. What is the name of the fish-like monsters from the Isle of Dread? They're kelpie. They're called kelpie. Funk moth. Really? Here we go. So let's now back to locations. There was something else here. Graveyard. Okay, so Sailor's Folly is a graveyard of shipwrecked ships occupied by a Sahagan tribe. Okay. I feel like there's something that needs to be done with that, but I don't know exactly. I feel like the Sahagin in some way need to be... Okay. We come back to that. That's fine. That's all right. Okay. All right. So where were we? We were dealing with we were dealing with a lot of stuff. I think actually we've actually got most of the mechanics. We've got all the encounters. We've got a few different things going on here. Some environmental stuff, some crazy stuff, some fights, even a skill challenge. Okay, so we've got that. So we actually got a few different things. I'm actually not unhappy with that. Let's just finalize the names and then I think we're done. You like full-on Lovecraft? Fair enough. Oh, tomorrow we're doing building non-player characters again. Okay? So come up with some ideas, people. Give me a starting point. Okay. So, what is the name of the fish like monster? Red. The Sunken City. I don't feel like the Sunken City actually kind of works for this, but we'll see how we go. Mystery of the channel depths. Channel depths. Let's go depths rather than depth. Depths. Something like that. Adventure name. No, it's not putting that one down. Is Grips of the Depth. Okay. Grips of the Deep. Good. Got it. Adventure name. Submersion. Okay. Submersion. I got that one. Okay. Okay, I think Dragonites. Dragonites? No. Dagonites. I'm not sure whether that was supposed to be... I don't know where that's supposed to go. Is that supposed to be the name? Dagonites? Okay. All right. All right. So we've got all the bits and pieces there. And thank God there isn't an awful lot of tidying up for me to do because we've done most of it during this period. So there's our structure. Maybe a little bit more filling out on the encounters, but I think we've got the... Okay. Grips of the Deep. Deep. So Grips of the Deep. So that's probably our top name. Grips of the Deep. Yeah, it kind of does work, doesn't it? It kind of does work. All right, so let's flick on back so that we can actually... No, that's not what I want. This is what I want. Okay. All right, here we are. Oh, it took me a little while to figure out where I was, but I found it. Talk about a fun time. I don't know about you, but I had a good time. I'm going to end this poll. Have you created your own adventure before? Yes. 60%, 23% no. Well, you certainly have now. You've just done one with me. And then unfinished, 17%. Well, for those of you who have not done this sort of thing before, you have certainly partaken and done a lot. Of course, the adventure will eventually be as an open document that anybody can edit and change and do whatever they want with if they want to. It'll go onto Patreon as it won't be a PDF, okay? Submersion is a submarine mission, submission. Yeah, I get it. Submission, yeah. I get it, submission. It's very clever. What's this? Dino. Adventure title. Take a bath. Hook, line, and sinker. I think there's already an adventure called Hook, line, and sinker. Enter the subverse. Hold your breath. Okay, so these are an awful lot of different names to add in there. I feel like I'm going to be working quite hard to get them all done. So let's get this train to an end. before things get out of hand. Hey, thank you to everybody who took part in the live stream. Thank you to my patrons who have been supporting me so I can keep doing this sort of thing. And also, look, I appreciate your input. It really has been entertaining, interesting, and quite revealing. Some really good ideas. Some ideas you'll like, some ideas you won't. You take the ones you like and you ditch the ones you don't like. That's how it works. So thank you everybody for watching and taking part. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Cool, blimey.